Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we're talking about fanfiction called Wingless Bat or Bat Without Wings. Details about the fanfiction will be in the description below. So Bruce, when he was first starting out, as Batman, went through very different trials, right? And some things stayed, bigger utility belt, and some things kind of went like changing the eyes, right, to white, because intimidating enough to criminals and then soothing enough to scared kids, right? Some things changed, something stayed, it just kind of improved over time. One thing that definitely got left behind was wings he had made at one point. At one point, he had decided he was going to make wings for himself, and this is Bruce basically running off of fumes, right? This is like 2 days of no sleep and so much coffee pumped in him. He's just like, because he's dealing with penguin at the moment. He's like, he's a flightless bird. He's like, I just, he'll never suspect me flying into his hideout. And Alfred, he's helping him build it, of course he is, but he's just look at him like in the same moment, like, because he's like, you sure about that? Like with the same kind of like like when your mom is looking at you and you're like in an outfit that they're like, oh, you're gonna regret wearing that. It's like, are you sure? But they're like trying to be nice about it. It's like, you sure you want to wear that? It's like, yeah, it's fine, totally. Like it's the exact same feeling of like Alfred's still helping him do it and like, okay, but he's like trying to like please like, give hints like, well, he's a flightless, but like penguins never like, that's just the name, right? He doesn't lean into the whole flightless bird or like being a penguin or anything or think he is one. It's like clearly like heavily hinting like, please don't do this. Please. This can only go but so many ways. But again, he's running off of fumes. And so he does end up going, I mean, it goes well, right? He takes down Penguin and whatever he's doing in that moment. And then a new kind of rumor starts where like it has the like fuel fire of him being like, oh, maybe he's a vampire, and so people think maybe he's like a metahuman, which adds to, I guess, not people not suspecting that it's like, I mean, no one's gonna suspect it's Bruce Wayne, but like to hiding his identity because people think it's a metahuman, so they're looking for a person with wings, right? And so now he just has metal wings, and that lasted for all of 2 weeks before it crumbled. It was Joker's. Well, he was dealing. Okay, it wasn't really Joker because he ran off mid-fight, and so it was Joker's goons, and that's where it kind of started falling apart, right? And they got broken. So, and he couldn't even like fit. He had to call the Batmobile, couldn't fit in it. So he was in the alley for like 15 minutes taking them off. And in that moment, he's vulnerable, which like it doesn't go well in that line of work. And so he had to be stitched up. And as he was with Alfred, he gave him that look, which he normally masks because he doesn't want Bruce to feel like, because he does worry for him, he just doesn't want to show it too much, right? Doesn't want to burden him with that. But this is something he really couldn't hide, right? You were stuck in an alley for 15 minutes taking that off so you could get back to the cave. And so as like he was stitching him up, it's like Alfred put his foot down with this one. It's like, okay, no more wings. You cannot do this. We're not adding it back. We're not doing revisions, nothing. And Bruce, agreed because, again, it was dangerous. And so he retired the wings. And he does miss them and, like, the feeling of, because he worked hard on them and, like, the feeling of flying and the freedom it gave him. He did really like it. So, flash forward years later, when, Justice League happens and he meets plenty of other colleagues that could fly, he doesn't really envy any of them and doesn't really, like, he just notes the different ways that they fly, right? Like, for Hal, it's more like hovering than anything, and, like, it's very different when Clark does it. But the one that stands out the most is when he first met her is obviously Hawk Girl with wings. And he can't help but, be in awe of the wings because again he once had them. And so during a Justice League meeting, he's like just he gets caught staring, right? Because again he admires the wings and all, and he's reminded of his wing, and he knows it's like not really the same, but it's still like you know it's almost the same, right? Like that's what flying is like. That's what that was like for him. And she catches him staring, and he's like, ooh, tries to look away. And but after the meeting, she talks to him, and she speaks to him about the how it's like to fly with her like her wings, and he's like, yeah, it's like it's the freedom of it and all that. It's like, oh, did you get to talk from Clark because all of them, well, not all, but like still, like he could fly. It's like, no, I just know. It's like, what do you mean you just know? Now, at this moment, he would have chosen his words carefully, but once again, he is running off fumes and energy drinks, and it's been 2 days since he slept. So he's not careful with anything he's saying. He's like, I know. So he goes out and says, like, I know what it's like to fly. It's like, you don't have wings. I know, not anymore. Great deduction. And then just leaves with that. He just leaves because he's like 5 seconds away from crashing. And he doesn't want to crash in front of everyone because he's like, I need to sleep. He's 5 minutes away from just immediately collapsing, right? So he leaves. Not really understanding the shit show that he left behind. That being, because they were all there. They all heard it. So they're like, what does that mean? He understands the feeling of flying. And so they're all looking at it. Flash is the first one to immediately, like, snap out of it. So he starts rushing around using, like, every computer phone to look up. Just like, okay, Batman with wings. And, of course, they find a video right from far away. It's just funny where you find out later where that video came from. But, so, they find the video of him clearly flying with wings and him kind of like the wings kind of retracting. So they clearly find that video and they're like, okay, that's like very real. That's not edited. That's like real. And so they're like, oh, and at first like, oh my god, he has wings, and like, too bad. I don't. But at first he's like, too bad. Just kind of shed them. Like, what animal do you think? But so they're very confused, but also because some of them are like, oh my god, I talked to him like he doesn't know what's feeling flying, and so clearly he does. Like, embarrassment of like, oh god, no, what have I done? But then it sinks in of like, he doesn't have wings anymore. And, for Hot Girl, that's very real because she's like, her wings, like, she'd rather lose literally any other limb than lose her wings. And so to see that happen to someone else and for them to get used to, again, from their perspective, okay, this is genuine. So, but for her to see someone else, lose their wings and then have to get used to not having them anymore and not being able to fly, is heartbreaking because she could never go. Like, she wouldn't know how to deal with that. She couldn't, so she doesn't understand, how he's like strong enough to even continue on, right? And so it sinks in, like her saying that really is sinking to everyone else. It's like, oh, something horrific must have happened that he doesn't really have his wings anymore. They start speculating on what could have happened, and Flash, brings up, well, he does patrol Gotham, so wouldn't really be surprised that some psycho ended up cutting them off, right? And that gets like a visceral reaction from Hawkgirl, which makes sense. And Clark the entire time is just silent. Right? He's going over in his head because they know each other for a while, and like, this is his friend and also crush. But for him not to know that, he had wings before, kind of like rubs him the wrong way. Like, it stirs something in him. But he thinks about the times where he's thought about how he's always thought that he's not completely human. Like, he's not human, or at least not completely human. because he would listen to his heartbeat unconsciously, and it was always steady, no matter what situation you're in, no matter what, who they're fighting. Even when he was stitching himself up in pain, it was just steady. The only times he noticed it was never, his heart would slightly jump, is when he would carry him and fly. And at first he's thinking, okay, right, fear of flying or falling from like a very high height, which normal, fine, none of his business to share, right? But now seeing the video and seeing, the wings kind of paints a different picture. And he's thinking, I may have reminded him of something traumatic or, what he once had. And at first he wants to be like, no, it's fine. Like, I'm sure he has like a completely healthy way of dealing with this, which, okay, sure. And even as soon as he thought of that, he was like, oh my God, who am I kidding? This is Bruce we're talking about. He has no healthy coping mechanisms at all. Like, this man has the whole, okay, file it, away, we'll deal with it later. That later never coming unless he's absolutely forced to. Like, there's no healthy coping mechanism he has, okay? He doesn't deal with anything in a healthy way. So, knowing that, he immediately, he kind of silently exits the room to go to Bruce. Bruce, meanwhile, back at home, he's already getting comfortable, right? He's about to collapse, but he still has something to do, right? He showered, he's done, and he's like, has nothing but his cowl on because of the cameras, and he wants to review footage. So that's the only thing he's really got on. And that's when Clark comes in, and he wastes no moment. And he's like already like, oh my God, no, please. Because again, he's just like, I need to collapse. But he doesn't want to, like, that'd be embarrassing. He doesn't want to collapse for him. So Clark wastes no time too. He just straight to the point. How'd you lose your wings? What are we talking about? Bruce at least is like, how we know about that? It's like, and very, or not very, but, well, maybe, I don't know. But because Flash had brought it up. He had brought it up. And they all saw the videos, right? And in his head, he's like, okay, if I tell you about the wings, will you leave? Please leave. Get out. It's like, I'm 5 seconds away from just collapsing. I can't do this anymore right now. And so he's like, so very kind of nonchalantly, like, because of course they're not like, touched him. He's just like, yeah, I had them, lost them, whatever. You done? Bye. Like, just very over it. But of course Clark, can't really, he wants to know more. So of course he asks, do you miss them? Bruce actually pauses at that, as he's walking away. It's like, of course I miss them, because it's like, he doesn't know how to explain it. It's like, but they were my wings, they weren't like any other tool that he used. It's like, he doesn't know how to explain it. Of course, from his perspective, he's explaining about the work of care that he put into it and how the feeling of it, everything came together. But it wasn't worth kind of worrying Alfred and the 15 minutes it took to take off. Like, it wasn't worth it. Not, I mean, from, without that context, though, it just sounds like very tragic. And so he misses that feeling. And that's where he asks, like, well, who took them from you? Bruce, again, without knowing his content, because he thinks all of them have the same content, right? That he was going through a phase, right? And so he's he's like confused by like the wording of the question, because it's like, what do you mean, who took them from you? But he's like, okay, I mean, I guess if it had to be who, be like jokers, like goons, like whatever, right? And he goes on to explain like the mechanics of the wings, how they failed, they are more liability, so he just took them off, and that was it, right? Clark doesn't hear literally any of that. As soon as he said Joker's goon, oop, went out that, in one ear, out the other. He's already mad and thinking about, like, oh, of course it'd be that psychopath. I can't believe it. Like, he's already, like, gone. Like, so he doesn't hear literally the rest of the sentence at all. And, he's thinking, like, to have something taken from him like that. And in a way, he feels like something was taken from him too. The ability like to share that with Bruce, right? That they could have traded, where it was more on peaceful, silent nights where they would walk together on patrols. Instead, they could have been able to fly together. And now that's gone. And so he like apologized to Bruce and it's like, oh, if I was there, it's like, I'm sorry if I was there. It's like I could have, and goes unspoken, like he could have saved him. And Bruce kind of like brushes off. It's like, yeah, okay. Because again, completely whatever to him, okay? So it's like, it's fine. Right? And then they go their separate ways. And this spreads to like the rest. Everyone just is like, wow, he lost his wings. Like, I wonder, like, who took him? And it's like, oh, Jesus. It's like, we are. And it spreads so far that it even, like, gets to people, like, off planet and, like, it spreads, like, the entirety of Justice League community and, like, everyone in it and, like, off planet too, which is like, you got nothing else to gossip about? How is a man with wings like this what you want to gossip about? Well, I guess because it's him, but all Bruce could think about at that moment and like he was leaving was just like, oh great. Clark was feeling like it's very sad. And all Bruce was like, oh great, I'm gonna get teased for this. Because he definitely got teased. Like Selena teased him about him going through like an emo phase. It's gonna be the exact same thing with all of them. That's all he can think about. Not even like realizing that all of them think, oh god, he was basically like mutilated, which is like, no. But now Bruce would have heard about this because again, it's spreading so far, like even off planet to like different rogues, it's spreading everywhere. So he would have heard about this if it wasn't for his kids. They don't care. They're messing with them, right? Because they feel like this is get back, right? Because he had banned Monopoly Night due to prevent murders in the mansion. Whatever that means. As if that wouldn't have happened any other night. But so they decided to get back to him. And it wasn't even planned from like the very beginning. It just happened like the next day after that. That when it started going around, that they started asking them, right? So like Young Justice started asking Dick, like, hey, like it was like Jamie, like he was asking him, it's like, so about this whole like Batman like wings, like what happened like there, right? And I mean, of course they know about the whole wing situation. Why wouldn't they know about it? Because whenever they would like ask to make alterations to their Robin costume, like make different, choices, Bruce would always shut that down. And then Alfred would come in, act as a buffer and be like, now hold on, let them experiment. And like, oh, you're worried that they might get hurt? You don't say. Like blatantly pointing like, you know how it feels. And so Jamie had asked him and Dick immediately, because this is fun, he was like, oh my god, this is my moment. It's showtime. Like, this is my moment. All of them are like this. None of them are biologically related. I just want to point that out. And yet, in this moment, all of them have just decided, yes, this is our moment to shine. And so, when he was asked that, Dick plays it up. He's like, what do you know about that? It's like, why are you asking that? He's like, don't ever ask about that ever again, right? Like, playing it up, like, him being like, it's deeply personal and don't want to talk about it, right? And Jamie like feels bad because he made decoupled people kind of mad. So he's like, he kind of feels bad for asking, but it's that kind of cements the others like, oh, this is very sensitive and personal topic, right? Because they went in thinking, is this like a sensitive, or maybe because of how they are. And it is, well, no, but like, they play it up as that. But it's the same thing with Tim and his team. He's asked. And he's like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, with like a haunted look of like, I don't want to talk about it. Which all of this is very code for of like, I need to ask my siblings so we can get our story straight. Like, even Damien is like, an ominous day. And they took away me and my father's wings to break our spirits. Oh my god. What's wrong with you? Oh my god. God forbid. Jason's also, again, full theater kid, but he does not care. He's like, yes, fully commit to this. Absolutely. They're all going all out, right? Like over comms, they're planning it, they're fleshing out the story. Jason's like, okay, I call dibs on like the backstory of how I lost it. It's like, oh, maybe I did it. I don't know. It's like, and Damien's like, yes, and then I could punch you. It's like, how dare you take me and my father's wings? They're fully going in on this. They're immersed. They're fully role playing. They're going with this. All right, they're in it for the commitment, right? And so now you have everyone split into like three teams, right? The Justice League. The first team being people who just want revenge, right? Because the moral code out the window, it's gone, okay? Because this is too far. Like this is mutilation of what you've done to Bruce, and a line's been crossed. Second chances can only go, giving out so many dimes. Like this can't be rehabilitated. Like it's I don't think you're coming back from this, right? And then not only Bruce, but you took it from his son because, logically, Damien, he was like, I'm the blood side, so it makes sense I would inherit the rings. Okay. So his, but to them, it's like to not only take it from Bruce, but you took it from his child too. It's like there's no coming back from that. It's like, screw the moral code, all right? The code, gone. It's out the window now. Clark is like very clearly in that faction, but like he hides it by like pretending to be neutral. Like no, it's like we should all calm down here, even though very clearly he wants revenge too, and it shows because he's keeping Bruce closer like than before, right? It's like, oh, he knows Bruce can handle himself, but he's still like, right? And it shows because his history, like his search history, he's just been looking into Gotham rogues now. He wants to find out who did it. And that evening when he visits the Batcave, it's Tim and Cass. They're like giggling over photos, and they show him, and it's like fake photos they made of baby Bruce with like bat wings, which is like, oh my god, they're fully going into this, and so. Which makes him even more protective. He's basically hovering over him at this point, to the point where Bruce is like, "Ugh, what's wrong with you?" He's like, where's that kryptonite cube around again? He's like, ugh, what's wrong with you people? The second team want to work to restore Batman's wings, which even that is split into two sides. The first side being magically restore them because of, but like you can't really do it because what's the anatomy of a bat and like how do they go about doing that? And they do ask Dick for help, and because he joins this faction because it'd be weird if you didn't, right? All of them are joining a faction, by the way, because it'd be weird if they didn't, and then also kind of like, they're not helpful in any way towards any of these conversations, but it's just, add to the story, right? Damien's part of the whole revenge team. Dick and Tim are a part of the whole restoration team, with Dick being on the whole magical side of things and Tim being on the mechanical side, where they want to, like, maybe we can build him some new wings. And none of them are helpful at all. They're just there to observe, right? Because it'd be suspicious if they didn't join, and they're just there to observe and watch them just kind of spiral. Then you have the third team where Barbara is a part of this team, right? She likes her way of thinking. It's like it's like where they feel like it's patronizing to him. It's like he doesn't need these wings. Clearly he's done well for himself over the years without them. And it would feel like telling him that he needed them to be a hero, right? And then again, from their perspective, this is real, right? And then you have John. He is over this. He hates all of them. He's so over this, over all of it, right? Because he immediately, like, it's not hard, like, to just read their minds, right? Oop, okay, fantastic. He hasn't said anything. but he's over it to the point where he's like on the computer and like he makes sure the font size is super big. Can I quit the Justice League? He's so over it. So anytime any one of them walk around the corner, just to so they know how disappointed he is and that they started this absolute shit show of a mess. This does begin to kind of spiral a bit though, because I mean, at one point, Constantine, which again is where they join, right, kind of keep control of the narrative. Constantine at one point goes down to Gotham and just starts asking around, mainly he's asking about Batman's wings, right? Big mistake, because now, the rogues are like, it goes around, so all the rogues are aware of, like, wait, he had wings at one point, like, oh my god. And because some of them are like, nobody hurts him but me type of way, now they're also out for blood, which fantastic. And like Harley, Hugo, and Scarecrow, I've like emailed it, like I've mailed him, like, if you ever need therapy, like, I'm here for you. No, what's happening? Like, even Amanda Waller has like said to one being like, in return for working for me, I'll send you, like, we'll get you some mechanical wings. Please. It's so out of hand. And it gets so out of hand to the point where Wonder at this point Diana just kind of goes down to Gotham. It's like, who did it? And she starts beating people up. Not great, especially since some of them don't exactly have, they're not Bane. I don't know what, like, just end up with a broken rib. It's like, oh. It's like, they're definitely in the hospital. Please, what's wrong with you? So after things clearly get out of hand, that's where Bruce decides to call a meeting because what's happening? And that's where they panic a bit because they're like, oh, what do we do, right? So they keep to keep the charade up a little bit longer. They have to get him basically. They have to cause an understanding where to get Bruce to have a different conversation without him knowing he's having a different conversation. So Jason, like 10 minutes before the meeting, Jason steals the keys to the jet, right? Which they call Batwing. It's just not really what they, I mean, it's just like, but for the most part, they don't really call it that, but they call it that just so it's like to get him to trick him into thinking, yes, this is what we're talking about right now, right? So he takes it and crashes it into a mountain. That's how committed they are to this. So he crashes it into a mountain. So literally, like, as he's on his way up, all he hears from Tim is like, yo, the Batwing's totaled. What? What are we talking about? And so he's like, okay, fine. We're gonna have a meeting after this one then. Because clearly you're wrecking my vehicles. And so during the meeting, he's talking to them, Aquaman for what, King Shark, and because Amanda, she wants to sue because it's like, Killer Croc and King Shark are technically a part of the Suicide Squad. No fighting between teams. Fantastic. Diana's being sent the hospital for she beat up. What are we doing here now? Flash gets speeding tickets. Great. So much is happening. And then Tim, says it's like, oh, okay, do you have everything say like, so he shows them off the little like blueprints and shows them as like improvements to Batwing again, because I think they're talking about one thing and not the other. And so he looks at this and he gives like, okay, yeah, make the wings a little bit bigger. That's it. So they're like, so the team where they're like restoring his wings, like mechanical, they're like real proud of themselves, like, oh my god, they're real proud of themselves. And then throughout that, Dick is not even paying attention, right? He's on his own because now they finally have the full fleshed out story, right? Because Jason was in charge. He's like, no, I want to do this part. It's full on PowerPoint, made in Canva, like everything. Like it's there. Like it is full on spreadsheets about everything. And like some of the people are fictional, some of the villains are real. And it just so happens that some of the people are what Hood's going after, right? You drug dealer traffickers. He's like, two birds, one stone, it's fine. And so he's like, just stick to the story, it's fine. You stick to the script. So Dick, makes his way out, not trying to gain the attention, because they're not the attention he tries to gain, right? He very tensely makes his way to the cafeteria, right? Make sure he looks stressed, tense. Hook, line, and sinker. Clark goes up to him, like, oh, are you okay? It's showtime. Puts on the act. He's like, we just we just figured out who took these wings. Why are you like this? And like before he could follow the entire script of like, okay, like because they had this all planned out. Alfred found him, taught him to defend himself. Then he got into a fight with Penguin, and to prove that he wasn't hiding his wings under armor. And the Joker got wind of it and decided to get rid of his wings. And then that's not even getting to the Navy. And like they fully had this whole thing planned out. And so he doesn't even get to say any of that, right? He's ready to dive into the entire story. Clark doesn't care. Like I don't think anything took into account that this dude has a gigantic ass crush on your dad. He does not care. I don't think any of them really care. They're just like, okay, this person did it, bet. None of them care. so and so he doesn't he's just like, who? It's like, ooh. but he says it in a tone where it's just like leaves no room for argument of like, so it's like, ooh. I mean, let me start from the beginning. Like he tried to be like, no. You don't need to. Who did it? Right? Leaving no room for argument of like, tell me who did it. It's like, ooh. It's like, well, Joker, but it's like, so he immediately just like that. He's off. He's in Gotham looking for Joker. Very unfortunate. He's just sighs as he goes on. He's like, just goes on comms. He's like, all right, guys, we fucked up. like, I don't think he did not take into account the fact that he is like disgusting. Like I'm talking like the biggest crush, like giggling, kicking his feet. okay, that's what happened when he looked at the little fake baby pictures. Okay, he's like, oh my god, right? It's like, I mean, also with anger because like they're clearly gone, but like still, like this man has such a gigantic crush on your dad, and you didn't think for a second, probably shouldn't do that. anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.